Many of you have seen Six the Musical, but there's much more to the Tudor dynasty than Henry VIII's 6 intriguing wives. There were 5 monarchs, 3 kings and 2 queens. This was quite unusual for a time period, however, since there had been no female ruler prior to this. The decisions the Tudors make had a lasting impact on English history. According to the article published in 2021 by History, there would be no Reformation without Henry VIII. The English Reformation had a major impact on the political and religious landscape in England. First, we will learn about King Henry VIII and his quest for a son. Second, we will learn about Mary Tudor, also known as Bloody Mary. And lastly, we will learn about Queen Elizabeth I, also known as the Virgin Queen. King Henry VIII is a controversial figure in history, and he reigned from 1509 to 1546. He had many key moments in his reign. However, one crucial moment was when he separated England and the Roman Catholic Church. This was historical, since England had been tied to the Roman Catholic Church for centuries prior. This led to dissolution of monasteries and abolition of Mass. King Henry was motivated to separate England and the Church because he wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon. Catherine of Aragon and King Henry were never intended to divorce. They had one child, Mary Tudor, and King Henry thought he would have a son with Catherine. However, she could not conceive. This led him to want to marry his mistress, Anne Boleyn. The Pope would not allow this, and this led him to create the Church of England. According to the article published in April 2018 by History Today journal, King Henry VIII declared himself head of church on earth under God. This meant that he could freely pursue Anne Boleyn, and he eventually married her. This marriage did not last long, however. After 3 years, Anne Boleyn was executed. She did give birth to one daughter, Elizabeth I. Now that we learned about her father, Queen Mary Tudor is also a controversial figure in history, known as Bloody Mary. Mary wanted to reignite the Catholic fervor that previously ruled England. She was a devout Catholic raised by a deeply religious woman, Catherine of Aragon. Mary wanted to restore the old Catholic Church and convert England back to Catholicism. She would use dire methods that were common with the Tudor era. She reigned for 5 years, and 280 Protestants were burned at the stake for not believing in Catholicism. According to the article by Royal Museums Greenwich, this religious persecution has earned her the notorious nickname Bloody Mary among subsequent generations. Mary Tudor ultimately tarnished her legacy by this religious fervor because it was a very extreme form of punishment. Usually, people were hanged, not burned at the stake. Finally, we will learn about Queen Elizabeth I. She was a well-regarded figure in British royal history. Queen Elizabeth had reigned for 45 years. One of the key moments in her reign, however, was the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. King Philip II of Spain wanted to overthrow Elizabeth and restore Catholicism to England. He ordered his Spanish fleet to attack the Royal Navy. But Queen Elizabeth had been preparing for this event in advance. She had revamped the Royal Navy and ensured that the ships were formidable. She commanded the Royal Navy to attack the Spanish fleet, and she was victorious. This was not only to defend her country, but to prove herself as a worthy ruler. Since she was a woman, many believe that she did not have the strength to defeat the Spanish. Her reign prior to this was prosperous, but this was an ultimate test of strength for the queen because it meant that she had to defend the country against a foreign attacker. According to an article in 2021 published by World History Education, Queen Elizabeth had a carefully published position, and she was one of the most powerful women in the country. But her defeat of the Spanish has cemented herself as one of the most powerful women in the world. Today, we learned about King Henry VIII and his quest for his son and the lengths he took to complete this mission. Second, We learned about Queen Mary and the reason she got her nickname, Bloody Mary, because of her persecution against Protestants. And lastly, we learned about Queen Elizabeth's final show of strength towards the Spanish Armada and its attackers. While history can be a bit tedious, it is important to remember that we can make it interesting. The Tudors had many difficulties in their reign, and they needed to go through many events and find solutions to them. Maybe one of us listening will do a groundbreaking decision that we remembered until the end of time. But until then, happy learning!